Hi, welcome to my channel Building Amazing Things. In this video, I'm going to show you how to design this wonderful mobile UI. So keep watching. So I'm going to show you how to design this mobile app. This is a modern type of design for mobile apps. And one interesting part of this video is that I'm going to be walking you down the tips I use in designing great designs like this. So the first thing I need to do is to draw inspirations for my design. So where do I get my inspiration from? I get it from the internet. There are several communities on the internet where you can draw inspirations for design. One of them is Behance. I go to Behance. You just have to type www.behance.net on your browser. Then you can search for mobile designs. You can see tons of designs of different types of mobile apps. You can look at what people are doing on Behance and try to do something like that, or even try to do something better than that. Another community is Dribbles. I like Dribbles because of the interface. It's white. It allows me to see the different designs people are doing. So you can also look at Dribbles and look at what people are doing on Dribbles and try to do something better or similar to that. Another interesting community is Pinterest. I look at Pinterest also. I try to see what people are also doing on Pinterest. So this is a great tool for designing. So once you draw your inspirations from this, you can go ahead and start designing. So the next thing I will do is I decide the kind of tool I want to use for my design. I use Figma. Figma is a great tool and it is free. It is a desktop application and a web application. So it can run on the web browser, it can run on the desktop app. So it is free. I want to thank the creators of Figma for providing this wonderful tool. So what I do is on Figma, I create lots and tons of projects. And this project, I prototype this project for my clients and people who I do designs for. So to use Figma, it's very easy. Go to figma.com, register and open your Figma. Now you can see tons of design which I've done. I've already done this design and I'm going to replicate this design step by step, show you how I achieve this design. So the first thing I need to do is I need to click on this plus icon here at the top. It says new file. So when I click on it, it opens a new project for me to work on Figma. Now we have our Figma file open. The first thing I would like to do is to give this file a name. So I'll say Figma Mobile Design. Good. So a quick look into Figma. These are the different tools you can use to work with. This is the move tool and it has the scale tool. We have the frame for different sizes, maybe desktop or let's say iPhone and the rest of that. Then we have different shapes you can work with. We have the rectangle, the line, arrow, eclipse, polygon star, and images. Then we also have the pen tool and the pencil tool. We have the text to write text in our designs. We had the hand tool to move around our design. Then we have the comments tool to make comments when working as a team. So now the next thing I will do is to decide what kind of screen size am I using. So I'll click on the frame tool and click on frame. Then you can see the different screen size to use. There's phone, there's tablet, there's desktop. You can also design for watch, paper, and social media. So I'm selecting phone and I'm selecting iPhone 11 Pro X. So now with my frame, the next thing I want to do is the first part of the design. And this design is the splash screen. The splash screen just tells what the app is all about. So I'm going to rename this frame to be splash screen. So after renaming this to be splash screen, the next thing I want to do is to add the notifications to my design. Now for the notification, I need some icons like the Wi-Fi icon, the battery icon, time, and the rest of that. So you can actually design those icons using Figma. Maybe I will do another tutorial for you to show you how to design those icons. But now to get these icons out of the box, there's a great tool on the internet you can use to get those icons. One great tool is Font Awesome. Font Awesome is a library where you can get icons out of the box. Simply search for what icon you are looking for, click on the icon, then click on download. Make sure you download this as SVG format. So I'll go back to my Figma and Instead of downloading this from Figma, from Font Awesome and bringing it into Figma, I will use Figma plugin, and this is a great tip I'm bringing out to you. Use Figma plugins and you get those icons out of the box without going to the Font Awesome website to download those icons. So to install this plugin, what you need to do is to click on the tab here and go to plugins, then click on manage plugins. Before you go to manage plugins, you can see there are tons of plugins which I've already installed. So one of them is the Font Awesome icon, but I'm also going to show you how to create this, how to install these icons. So click on manage plugins, and once you open manage plugins, you can see the plugins you have already installed in Figma. So I'm going to install a new plugin. So I'll go to plugins by the left side and click on browse all plugins. So I can search the plugin I want to install, for example, Font Awesome, and this is Font Awesome. I can click on install. I've already installed this, so if I click on it, I'm uninstalling it, so I'm not doing that right now. So I'll close this and go back to my Figma design. Now to use those plugins, you just simply need to right click and go to plugins and select the plugin you want to use, or you can click on this menu here and go to plugins and select the plugins you want to use. So what I would do now is to right click and go to plugins and select Font Awesome. By this way, this tab will come out because I've already installed the Font Awesome plugin. So this brings out all the plugins in Font Awesome website without going to Font Awesome to download the icon. So what I will now search now, I'm going to search for signal. I need a signal icon, and that is it. I'll go back to plugins, Font Awesome. I also need the Wi-Fi search. I'll add it. So I have the Wi-Fi and the signal. I also need the battery. I'll go to plugins and I'll look for Font Awesome. Then I'll search battery, and I'm using this battery. So I have the signal, I have the Wi-Fi, and I have the battery. So I'm going to bring in this to the splash. I'm going to bring each of them. I'm going to bring each of these to the splash frame. So I brought this into the splash frame. I'll drag this into the splash, and I also drag this into the splash. So I have the signal, the Wi-Fi, and the battery in the splash. So I can click on the signal and drag it down over here, and click on the Wi-Fi and also drag it over here. So Wi-Fi, then the last one is the battery. Click on the battery and drag it over here. Now, one other great tools which I want to show you is using the layout grid. The layout grid helps you to align this content on your screen perfectly well without having some disparities between different components. So I'll click on the splash frame, then I'll go to layout grid. I'll click on layout grid. Now I can click on this box here that looks like this and select the type of layout grid I want. I actually want columns, and I want those columns to be 6 in numbers, and I want a margin of 25% too. Now I have this. The next thing I want to do is to arrange these icons very well. So to properly arrange this very well, I need to see how it looks in my iPhone. So to do that, I'll just click on the present tool here, and it will open a new interface for me. Here I'll see how it looks like on an iPhone. So you can look at the notification, and the notifications are looking bad, so I'm going to fix that. So I will drag this. I'm zooming in using my control and mouse scroll. Then I'll drag this to this point and also drag this way and this. So let's take a look. Still looking very big. So I'll select the three of them and I'll use my scale tool. The scale tool helps you to reduce without distorting the shape of the icon. So I'll look at it again. I think it still looks okay. There's just the alignment this time around. So I'll take it up and I'll gradually fix that. So I think I have something that is okay now. So let me remove this grid line I've added. So just click on the eye icon here and it goes off. So this is it. I think this is okay. If you look at it from the phone view, it's nice. So next thing, I want to add a time here. So I'll click on the text tool and select this to be 14 and make it bold, Pompeo. Then pumping is the font size type I'm using. So I'll say let the time be 9:40 p.m. So I'll also look at my grid. So I'll click on this eye to open the eyes and set this grid to look this way. I'm going to look at it 9:40. I actually remove the PM and let's see how it looks. Okay, 9:40. I'll take it to the beginning of this line and it looks okay now. So I can select this and use my alignment tools here to align it to the center, vertically center. And let's take a look. Okay, this is okay. We have our time and our notification bar set up. So I'm going to remove this grid so it now looks like this. So the next thing I want to do now is I want to add a color to the screen. So I'll click on the splash screen and I'll go to fill to change the color. And you can choose any color of your choice you want for your background. So you can scroll down this way to navigate within red, orange, green, and the rest of them. So I want my background color to look this way. You can set it if you know the color code, like AEE will give you a ash dark background. So I think I can go with this. So if you look at the representation, this is how your app should look like. So the next thing I want to do is maybe do some designs. So I'm going to add, like, let's say I'm going to add a circle to this design. I'm going to add a circle to the design and just make some little creativeness. Remember, to get those creativeness, you need to look at those design communities to know what to do. So I'm going to take my shape to take the eclipse tool or the cycle tool. Then this is the width and height. I'm going to set it to 200 and also this 200, the width and height to be 200. Then I'm going to give it a fill color. What kind of fill color am I using? Okay, something like this, light or dark. Okay, dark. Then I'm going to reduce the opacity, make it more transparent. Then I'll drag it to the top. So I'll duplicate this by holding my alternate and click and drag. I've duplicated this. So I have this, and it's kind of been on top of the time. So I'll select the both of them and drag it below the time 9:40, and this is okay. So I can do some little adjustments to see how it's going to look like. So let's look at our mobile design. Yes, we are getting close to our design. Another great tool I want to share with you is Undraw. Undraw is a platform where you can get illustrations, free illustrations. So to get started in Undraw, just go to undraw.co, then click on browse. You can get tons of free illustrations to use. The great thing about this, you can set this illustration to be your color which you are using for your design. So Undraw is a great tool and is a great tip if you are watching this video. Now, the next thing I need to do is to download one of these illustration and bring it to my design. Remember, just use this on social medias or blogs. Okay, if you want to have full access to this, you can pay for it. Now, to bringing this, I've already done I've downloaded some designs, so I'll just bring it in. And one of them is this undrawn my notification, so I'll just bring it in. Not this one exactly, the other one. Okay, so I'll reduce this. This is the size. If I want to reduce it, I can use my scale tool and reduce this to this. I can also click on constrain proportion so that it, once I'm reducing the height, it's affecting the width automatically. So I'll set this to be 170. And this is fine. I pick back my move tool and drag it to the center like this. So now we want to give a note or tell the user what type of app is this. So I'll add a text to describe what this app is all about. So this text should be bold and should be like size of 18. So I'll set it to be size of 18. Then I'll make it, let's say, semi bold. Then the text description should be, let's say, get thing done, let's say get things done with to do. So to do, we're doing a to do app with this. Then I kind of see that this black is too thick, so I can reduce the opacity down to, let's say, 85, and that's fine. So I'll bring it down here. Then another thing, maybe a description that talks more about the app. So I'll add a text. I'll click on the text too, and I'll make a box this way. So I have installed one plugin which is called Lorem. Lorem gives you text, dummy text you can use in your design. So I want this dummy text should be regular and the font size should be 13. Then I'll right click on this text and go to plugins and go to Lorem. Remember I showed you how to download this. So I'll click on auto generate to generate this text. And this is okay. I'll kind of reduce the opacity to 80, to let's say 80. So sorry, I'll select all, then reduce it to, let's say, 80 or 78 or 79. That's fine. So I'll increase the line height by clicking on the line height and drag right if you're increasing, drag left if you're decreasing. So now I have this. Next thing I want to do, like a click to action button, a button that takes me somewhere else. So to do that, I'll add my grid line. I want to see my grid line. Then I'll select a shape of rectangle. Then I want the shape to start from this end of this line to this line. Then I want the height of this button to be, let's say, the height should be, then I want the height to be, let's say, 60. So make it 60. Then I will remove this grid so that I can see how it looks like. Then I will give it a fill color. So let's say this fill color, and let's choose this more darker, or let's choose this. These are already document colors I've used before now, so you can choose to use them if you have that, or you can just click and try to select a very good looking color. So now I have this. Let's take a look at how it looks on our mobile. Good, we're making some progress, and I would like to drag this up. I'm holding my shift so that I don't drag it off the balance settings I've made initial. So I'll add a text to this, and that text, I would like that text to be 18 and semi-bold also. So I'll click on it and set it to be 18. Then set it to be semi-bold, and let's say the text should be get started. Oops. So I'll also increase this way to get it to size the button, the text to fit with the button. That way I can set the align middle and set it to align center. Then I can change the color, the fill color. I can change it to white. So let's take a look at how it looks on our design. Great. So the next thing we want to create is a registration form. For we to have an app, users needs to register in that app. That way we get basic information of the user. Now looking at our splash screen, we have some elements we want to reuse in our registration form. Let's say the shapes and let's say the buttons. So one great tips I want to give you guys is the component tips. Now Figma makes it very easy for you to make some changes on your UI. For example, assuming you have button across several UIs and you want to change the color of that button, imagine the stress going screen by screen to change that color of that button. But with Figma, you can do that out of the box, where you have to change the parent component and every other child component gets the new design of the parent component. So to do that, I will simply show you guys how to do that. So I want to create a shape component, and that component will consist of these two shapes of my eclipse. So I'll click on this and use my shape to select the other one. Then I use my Command G on Mac or Control G on Windows. So once I do that, you see this group one here showing that this has been grouped together. And if we look inside the group, you can see the two eclipse there. So I'm going to give this a shape name so that I'll know that it's for my shape. The next is I want to make this shape a component so that I can reuse it anywhere in my design. And to do that, I'll just click on the create component above here. So good, I've created this component. You can see a little color has been added to this to show that it is the parent component. Next component I want to create is that of the button. So I'll group the rectangle and the text get started together. I'll select the both of them and I'll use my Command G and I'll name this to be button. Next, I'll click on create component to make it a component. And you can see that purple color showing that this is a component. So we have two components here, which is the shape and the button component. Now I'm going to show you how this works on several screens, but I will also have to create another component which will house the icons for my notification. So I'll zoom in and select each of those icons. Then I'll use my Command G to make it group, then I'll call it notification. Then I'll click on create component to make this a component. So I have three components in these designs, and these components are the parent components. So assuming now I want to duplicate this design so that we can have our registration design. So when I use my Command D on Mac, you can use Control D on Windows. So when I do this, you can see a duplicate of this. And now remember what I said about component. Assuming I want to change the color of this shape here to be red, and I click on red, for example, you can see the shape color is changed across everywhere that component is being used. So that's the great importance of using components in your design. So next, what I want to do, I will delete what I don't need in this second screen I've duplicated. Then I'll have to rename the name to be registration. Then I would like to take the registration downward. So the splash will be the first, the registration will be the next one. Then the text of the registration for the button, I'll say let the text be register. Now, remember that I'm changing the child component and it's not affecting the parent component. That's how it works. So the next thing is I want to give a note. So I'll click on alternate on my keyboard to duplicate this and drag. So I will name this to be, let's say, welcome on board. On board with an exclamation mark. Fine. Next thing I want to give a small description also to tell you what you should expect about the app once you register. So I can duplicate this also, drag it here. So I'll say let's help you meet up your tax. So after I've done this, you can see the spacing here. I can remove those spacing by clicking on auto height. It gets me the normal space I'm supposed to use. Next, I want to do is create the forms input for this particular registration. So I can use my layer grid, so I get the form input exactly to the size of the screen, like looking at the pattern here, starting from here and ending here. Then next I want to do is to give it a height of, let's say, 50. I set the height. Then I'll set the border radius to be corner radius or border radius to be 100, and that is it. Then I'll set the color to be white, and that is it. I'll remove this layout grid, and this is what we have gotten. So next thing I want to do is to add a text to this, like a placeholder. So I can, let's say, duplicate this also, click on alternate and drag to this, and it is at the back of this rectangle. So I'll take it to the front of this rectangle so you can see it. So the content, let me zoom in so you can see what we're doing. So I'll make this to be left aligned, and the content, let's say I need the user to enter the name, so I'll say enter your full name. Okay, this is fine. I can click auto width to make it exactly the width. Then I think this is fine. I can select the both element and click on Ctrl G or Command G to group it, and I'll call this input. Then I'll make this input a component because I plan on reusing it everywhere in the UI design, maybe in my login design and the rest of that. So the next thing I will need to do is to speedily rush to replicate this for my email, my password, and my confirm password. So I will do that immediately. So now I'm done with the different components for it. So I'm going to do some basic alignments by selecting all of them and make it to be vertically aligned, so they have the same alignment. So I can drag this closer to this registration button here, and this looks a bit far from it, so I can drag it closer to have something like this. So I can select them. So I'm just doing some basic arrangement. So I'll make it to align center, so all of them will be centered, and it is centered. Next, maybe I'll add a description telling the person to sign up if the person to sign in if the person has already registered. So I'm going to duplicate this downward and make it left align and make it auto width, but the content should be already have an account. What should happen? You should sign in. So if you already have an account, you should sign in. So, but I'm going to make this more larger, so I'll make it 14. And this is okay. I can set this sign in to look different. You can decide to make it red. You can decide to make it whatever color you like. I've chosen that color. Maybe make it more darker. And this is fine. Then I'll also make it bold so it stands out, and I'll reduce this to be this. So now I can set it to align center with the button. Yes, good. And make sure every other thing is aligned center. So good, everything is aligned center. Then I think the spacings within these buttons, I need to increase the spacing. So I'll also do that. I'll also fix that. And align vertically. So we can also take a look at this on our design. So let's look at it on our design. So if we look at our design here, you can see we still have the first one, and if you look down here, you'll see page 1 and page 2. So you can click on page 2 to look at what we have. So this is our registration form. I think the text box are way too far from each other, so I'll also fix that and vertically. and bring it down a little bit. So let's take a look at it. This is okay, so we can work with this. So make sure all of them are aligned, centered. So I'll do that and look at it again. Okay, this is fine. We are done with our registration. So the next screen I'll need to do is the login screen, and we will have something similar to the registration screen. So I'll quickly do that from the skills we have acquired earlier from the registration fee. So I'm done with the design. We can take a look at this design on our page. So I'll click on the third one, and this is our login design where it says welcome back. You enter your email, enter your password. So guys, let's design the dashboard of this app. So to do that, I'll quickly duplicate the login screen and change the name to be dashboard. Then I can delete what I don't want to use. Quickly do that. Then I need to display the user's profile and maybe tell the user welcome. So I want to display the user's image or profile image. So I'll need a box this way, and I would like to give this box a color of this, and this is where I want to display the profile image of the user. So I'm sending this box to the bottom so that other elements which I have on this dashboard screen will come out. And this shape element looks a little bit faint, so I'm going to make it more whiter so that it can come out. Then I'll add a cycle that will house an eclipse that will house the picture of the user. And this eclipse, I'm going to set the size to be 100 by 100. So one great tip I'm going to show you guys is Unsplash. Unsplash is a platform, an online platform where you can get free images to use in your design. But you can just click on the image you want to use and download and bring it in your Figma design. But I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a plugin on Figma which I've already installed. So I'll just right click and select plugins and select Unsplash. I've already installed this, so I can use this without going to Unsplash to download the images. So when I click on Unsplash, it loads. So when it is done loading, it brings up this dialog box where I can search what I need to use. So I'm going to search profile, click on enter, and I'm going to use this profile picture, and immediately the profile picture is there. Next thing, I want to welcome this user, and I'll drop this here and I'll say welcome Olivia Grace. So I created a video on how to design a website using Olivia. I love that name. So she's not my girlfriend anyway. So you can go check out the video and the link below or above this video anywhere. Click on it and go check out the video. And make sure you come back to complete this video. So I've changed the color of this text to be white. Next thing is I want to add a clock. The clock should be on our design because it tells the user what the time is. It's a to-do app. So like let's say the clock is the first thing the user gets to say and know what the time is. So I'm going to add an eclipse for this. So I'll draw an eclipse and make it to be 120 by 120. So I'm going to give this eclipse a color similar to what we have initially here. So I'll bring it down this way. I think I'm okay with this. Add an effect so it will look good like this. The next thing I want to do is I'll add the pivot. The pivot, I'll add another eclipse and make it 10 by 10. And this pivot should be on this exactly on the center. I'm using the Figma guideline to do that. So the color for this pivot, I can choose this color and then add an effect to make it look nicer. So next is the hands for the clock, and I'll do that by selecting my rectangle tool, and I'll draw a rectangle and make the size to be 1.45. That is the height of it. Then I'll make the corners to be 100. So I'll drag this to the center here, exactly to the center. Then I'll give it a color similar to what we have initial with the head, and I'll make it more darker. This should be the hour hand. So I'll duplicate this with Command D, and I'll change the angle to be 60, and this is what we have. So sorry, I'll drag it down this way. So one thing I want to do is to change the height of this very one. I'll change it to be 1.3 and make sure it's at the center. Then I'll reduce the color, make it more lighter. Then I'll also duplicate this, and I can rotate this also by using this tool here. So rotate, and this is fine. I'm going to change the color, making it ash. This should be the second hand, and I'm going to also set it to be in the middle here. So once you have this done, you can see the pivot. I want the pivot to be on top, so I'm going to drag the pivot to the top, Then I'll reduce the hour hand because it's shorter. Reduce that. This is 1.45. I can reduce this also, let's say to 35, and I'm okay with this. So the next thing I want to do is to add the timing, like the numbers for it. So I can do that by maybe duplicating this and drag it over here and change the size to be, let's say 10. 10 will be fine for it. And let me select 10. Then the content of this text should be 12. And I'm going to set the color of this to this very color and make it more darker. So one other thing is to take it to the middle this way and also duplicate it for 6. Change the content to be 6 and also duplicate it for 3. Change the content to be 3 and also duplicate it to be for 9. And I'm going to do some alignment to set it to the center, and also this to also set it to the center. Okay, this is fine. We have our clock out of the box. This is nice. Figma is a great tool. Let me know in the comment section if you really like this design and what you want me to improve on the design. So next thing I want to do is maybe a salutation greeting. I'll duplicate this. Then I'll say good afternoon. Looks like it's 3 over there, so on our clock design. So I'm going to set this to be 12. Sorry, that's 24. Set it to be 12. And using our grid line, so I'll turn on the grid line. So I'll set this exactly to be, yeah, and I'm going to group this clock with Command G and name it to be what clock. Then I will drag this to the center also. Then I'll remove the grid line by clicking on the eye tool. We have this is fine. So the next thing I want to do is to show the list of tasks, daily tasks, which you have already added in this app. So it can be like a guideline to you. So I'm going to duplicate this, then over here, and make it to be 14. Then I'll change this to be tags list, so list of tags. And let me add my grid line so I can align it properly. So this is okay. Then I'll remove the grid line. Then I'll need a box that contains the list of tags. I'll use my rectangle to do that. And this is a nice box. I'll add some radio corner to it, corner radius. Then set the color to be white. Then add an effect of shadow. And I want the blurriness to be 10. Okay, and that's okay. So I can also reduce this a little bit. So I need to add some list of tags to this. So I'll duplicate this and bring it to the front and reduce it to, let's say, 13, and also reduce the opacity a little bit. Then I'll change the content of this text to daily tags. Then I'll zoom in to see what I have, bring it down this way a little bit. Also, I need another icon so you can click to add a tags to this list of tags. So I've already installed another different type of font, different font also. That this one is feather icon, so I can click on it, and I can click on the plus to select a plus icon. So I can click on the plus icon. So remember to drag the plus icon into the dashboard frame. So I'll bring it down to this point and I'll choose a color of this and make it more darker, and this is fine. Then I'll set the alignment so they align center equally. Next I want to do is to add the individual tags. So I can select this and make it to be 17 by 17. Then I'll add a stroke. Let's say the stroke is 2. Then the field should be this for completed tags. Then I'm going to duplicate this and make it to be 12, or we can still leave it at 13. Then make it to be regular, and the text context maybe for the first tag should be learn programming by 12 a.m. So I'm going to set this to align left, and I'll drag it in this way. So these are first tags. I'm going to set the alignment to be center and then group it and call it tags. So I'll quickly duplicate this for other tags. So one. Now I'm done with the different tags I've added to this. Next is I'll need to change tags that has not been done. I'll change the color to white, and I'll change the fill color to black, or I can leave the fill color this way. Okay, fine. So I have the various tags. I can also add a scroll button to show that there are other tags you can scroll to. So set the height to be 1.43 or 1.45. Sorry, that's not what I wanted to do. Set the height to be 3 and set the border radius to be 100. I hit on enter. Then I'll bring it down here so that you know that there are other tags to select from. So make it more lighter, and this is it. So nice, we have our tags dashboard done neatly and fine. So you can take a look at it, click on the fourth one and look at it. Well, it's not properly aligned, so that I will fix that by selecting this to match up with this, and select each and every one of these to align left. Great. And now take a look at it, and this look good. So nice one. Now we're done with our design. The next thing is to run a prototype for this design. So I'll quickly do that by clicking on the prototype tool here, and I can set the color of the prototype and the rest of that. So initially you see black background, so it's because the color has been set by default to be black. So when I click on each of these elements, you can see this circle here. So you can click, I want get started to take me to the registration form. Then I want the registration form to take me to, after registering, it should take me to dashboard. Also, I want the login, so I can change this. We still have register here. Sorry, I'll change it to login. Then I'll go back to prototype. For me to change that, I went back to design to change that. So I'll go back to prototype, and the login should take me here. Then this sign up button should take me to the sign up. This login should also take me to the login. So you can now run your prototype. Like, let's go and see our prototype. So you can restart it by pressing R on your keyboard. So when I click on get started, I get to the registration form. When I click on sign in, I go to the sign in form. When I click on sign up, I'm on the sign up form. And when I click on register, I get to the dashboard. So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so that you get notified when I make new videos. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye.